Hey, this is the Antisocial Socialite back at it again. Shout out to all the wonderful new subscribers and returning friends. Welcome. If you are new to the channel, you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. So when I get to running this mouth, baby, you are in the loop. It is Pick Me Monday. I haven't done a broadcast on a Monday for a long time. So salute to all of the Pick Me's out there. I hope you're being pick-me-licious and keeping it all the way pick me. Um, Shout out to Celine in the building. She says, hi, love. I hope everybody had a good weekend. And I hope everyone is going to have a good week. So I was perusing these Twitter streets. As you know, if you are not following me on Twitter, please make sure that you follow me on Twitter. I'm on Instagram and Discord. So please, holler at your girl over there. And I saw a lot of people talking about this King Richard thing. Now, I'm boring. I don't go to the movies. So I wouldn't know about this movie. Shout out to Mr. Uganda in the building, always having these fire panels. So if you're not subscribed to the brother channel by the same name, please check him out. And I couldn't understand what was going on. Like, why were so many people talking about this King Richard movie? Because, I heard about it, Will Smith, it's all making sense now. The continued disrespect that this man is enduring at the hands of his wife. I'm not going to say it's 100% a publicity stunt, but it's definitely beneficial for bringing him back to the public forefront because, he's got a book out and a movie. So, it could be a bit of publicity, right? And so as we know, Will Smith recently played the role of Venus and Serena Williams' father, and there's a lot of people talking about this. Hi, African Caribbean Diaspora Talks. Shout out to you again, another great content creator in the space, logical, keeping it 100, especially for you UK guys. Again, channel by the same name. So please check it out. And I came across this particular tweet, all right? And it said, did they seriously make a film called King Richard about the success of Serena and Venus Williams, but it's about their dad, Richard, okay? And then afterwards, I think she went on to respond to her own tweet. I get this has annoyed people, but I genuinely didn't expect a film about two of the most powerful, successful, and amazing Black female athletes to be named after a man, center a man. All right. So when I first came across this tweet, right, my initial shout out to Dimitri in the building. You guys hit the like and the subscribe button. When I first came across this tweet floating around on Twitter, I actually kind of saw it on Twitter. Shout out, I think it was Terrain, a brother called Terrain, I think Terrain Walker. He was like, what's going on here? Why are you guys basically trashing a guy who created two of the most accomplished tennis stars? I mean, the Williams sisters will obviously go down in history with all of the greats, okay? And people were giving their opinion. I gave mine. My first instinct was, basically a Black man can't catch a break. If a Black man is absent from his children's life, people have something to say. When they get involved in the children's life, he has something that people still have something to say, and it's still negative, okay? And before I actually kind of was looking at all the different responses, I didn't even realize that the Huffington Post had made an article about this movie. All right, so I'm going to read the article because I'm on the phone, so I can't actually share it for you guys to read it. So you've got to suffer my bad reading. Was he not behind these two women? That's their father, but it's stupid feminist. And that's why I titled the video the way I did, because obviously this tweet is feminist leaning, okay? But because like I said, I haven't watched the movie. The movie is from a child's perspective, but the way these women want to disparage Venus and Serena Williams' father is from the perspective of a woman, a womanist, and a wife, and how somehow they think that being a father and being a husband is one and the same thing. We know a lot of people who have issues with their partner, and they can say this person wasn't a great partner to me, but I can't fault the way they raised the kids. Or you could say this person treated me well, but they treated their children badly. And so being a good husband doesn't automatically make you a good father, or being a good wife doesn't necessarily make you a good mother. They're two mutually exclusive things. And so I'm going to try and read some of the article as quickly as I can. I skimmed through it. Thank goodness they're not very long. And obviously, when they took a screenshot, apparently of the editors of the Huffington Post, it was all white women. Okay. So let's try and get through this really quickly. Back in 2006, Essence magazine ran a cover story of Sean Diddy Combs of his off again, on again relationship with late Kim Porter, mother of 3 of his 6 children, with the headline "Real Love." It's a memorable image because those 2 words, aligned with the picture of a couple whose relationship was punctuated by his infidelity, seem to suggest that theirs was a romantic ideal for black women, and that Diddy represented a real black man. Emphasis on the word real. That interview came to mind after watching King Richard, the heart-rending and wonderfully acted family drama that traces tennis icons Venus and Serena Williams' record-breaking ascent. Because their father Richard, played by Will Smith, exalted even in the movie title, is also portrayed as an exemplary figure whose transgressions, including his extramarital affairs, are virtually relegated to footnotes in favor of his hagiographical profile. I have no clue what that word means, by the way. Okay. In fact, the way director Ronaldo Marcus Green and screenwriter Zach Baylin balance Richard's many strengths with his far less notable flaws becomes a delicate tap dance throughout the film's 2-hour plus runtime. Though many fans might crave another story about the Williams sisters, King Richard makes it clear from the beginning that their father is the protagonist and a large reason for their success. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the article because it's not quite finished yet. Shout out to um, Afropolitan Podcast and CJ Kyle's in the building. Celine says, I hate how in almost every movie or TV show they make the husband weak and effeminate and the wife knows everything, programming at its finest. Well, yeah, that's something that definitely happens a lot. We saw this a lot with adult cartoons like Family Guy. We saw this a lot, not so much with American Dad, but definitely The Simpsons, and even things like The King of Queens. I think that the husband is a little bit of a bumbling idiot. They do this a lot to kind of normalize women trying to assert the authority of men and program women to have the mentality that a man is goofy, he's stupid, you can't take what he says seriously. It's just cultivating a nature of disrespect. Shout out to Afro in the building. Shout out to CJ Kyle checking in. I know he's probably working or resting. Please like the video. Exactly. Okay. So the article says that they're almost upset that this guy had extramarital affairs, but that wasn't the central focus of the video or the movie. But why would his extramarital affairs be the central focus of a movie about a dad being a coach to his 2 daughters? Like, let's look at this logically. Why would a movie that's supposed to be talking about the role of a father? We just had Dads on Duty. And although I said it before, I'll say it again, I don't support mentoring, not because I don't think mentoring is good or beneficial, but because I believe it gives people an excuse to continue to have children and expect somebody who's not the father to raise those children, to play stepdad, to play surrogate father. Mentoring programs are great, but I believe if women want to put their children into mentoring programs and coaching programs, you have to pay the person because they're giving their time, they're giving their skills, maybe their resources. So they've got to be compensated for that. Other than that, mentoring is great. All right. So we just had Dads on Duty, and we look at how just the presence of men in the environment changes the dynamics, how children feel calmer, they feel more secure, they have someone to look up to, etc., etc. We don't need to go into how significantly important the role of masculine principles are around young people and children. Okay. And so the fact that they said, with far less notable flaws, how, you know, his strengths as a father and a coach were highlighted, and then it kind of swept his bad behavior under the rug, was not, you know, put on blast to the same degree. They're almost upset about this. Okay, they're like, this film was 2 hours and you didn't spend a significant amount of time talking about how awful men are and how they all cheat and do their wives badly. That was a waste of 2 hours. Okay, so the way a child, and this takes me back to something that Kevin Samuel said, and I know he's contentious, but he definitely made a solid point. The way we perceive relationships as children is very different to the way we perceive relationships as adult people in the relationship. The way we look at our parents with this very idealistic view is very different to the way a person who's older in life, seen more, experienced more, is going to look at the same adult. So even as Serena and obviously Venus, they're adults now. You know, I know at least one of them is married and got children, or maybe she's not married anymore. The perception of their father is still going to be very much rooted in idealism. It's still going to be very much rooted in the extremes. There's lots of things that happened to us in our childhood. They were probably very significant at the time, but we can't even remember those things now. What sticks out in our mind are the very big highs and the lows. That bicycle that we always wanted and we finally got it. That games console we wanted and we finally got it. Or that time when we really wanted that parent to come through and they didn't show up or something. Okay, every other bit in between, a lot of that is, unless you're talking about it constantly, it just goes into the subconscious, into the back files. Okay, and so when Serena and Venus look at their father, they remember how hard their father worked to make them the kind of women that they became. And obviously, part of that built their confidence that has continued into adulthood and is helping them to be successful. That's the central focus of the movie. How Venus and Serena see their father, and how their father's effort, his sacrifice, you know, going to a job that was unfulfilling. They later on talk about that in this article, how he would get up, you know, rain, snow, sun, hot, cold, take them to the tennis court. He used to monitor them in the tennis court in an area that was dangerous. I mean, all the things that Black women typically say fathers don't do. In terms of his relationship with his daughters, he did it to the fullest. People say that he actually, well, he said allegedly he saw white tennis players. He said, I would love to have daughters who could compete like this. And when he saw the mother of Serena and Venus, he looked at her legs and said, these are tennis women's legs. So what's that brother's name? I can't remember his name now. The guy who has the three sons and they play basketball. It's like he looked at the woman and he said, this woman's nice and tall. My sons will definitely be tall, which means they have an increased chance of going to the NBA. Like, he strategically picked this woman because of her height. So you have to understand, like, this man, he had a vision, he had a plan, and he worked to execute it. Okay, and he was dedicated to it. A lot of the criticisms Black women put forward about Black men and Black fathers, when it comes to his relationship with his daughters, at least, he worked to dispel those myths. Okay, so the article continues to read, the sheer positioning of his character and Smith's effortlessly, catch these teeth, charismatic and empathetic portrayal gives us a lot to root for him. So again, they're angry that you cannot really say all across the board he was trash. Okay, it's like the way Will Smith played the character and what the sisters have to say about their own father, you can't really fault the guy for how hard he worked to make his children successful. Richard, a skilled athlete in his own right, is the man who gets up at the crack of dawn to train his then adolescent daughters at their local tennis court in Compton, one often plagued with gang violence, even practicing in the rain before he heads to his unfulfilling night job in security. Richard is also the person who hustles his way in front of renowned coaches like John McEnroe's Paul Cohen to advocate for his girls' undeniable talent. He insists that they be treated with the same level of respect as white counterparts, such as Jennifer Capriati. So, of course, whenever Richard affectionately asks Venus and Serena who their best friend is, right on cue, they warmly reply, "You, Daddy." Okay, so the feminists are reeling. They're like, God damn it, you're not supposed to like any man. Oh, this is going against the sisterhood. It's like the fact that they would give props to the father and not the mother. you know if they were in a grave, they'd be turning. Okay, based on what we see in King Richard, it is without question that he earns his status as a hero in his children's eyes, a man whose determination and protection of their integrity as black girls are in a mostly white sport helped catapult them to the next level of their careers. That is, however, paired with those times when he is the emblematic black dad who is as loving as he is authoritative, and an authoritative disciplinarian. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat, because I know a lot of people are coming through. Thank you, Sir Tice. Yeah, Laver Ball or Lavar. I can't really say it properly. Shout out to Juju in the building. Right. Why would that be the focus? Shout out to Mr. Uganda. Why would the relationship between the mother and the father be the focus? African Caribbean Diaspora Talk says they always try to ding the father's character. Even in sitcom Moesha, they obliterated the father's character at the end of the show. Oh my goodness. The way they did the father Moesha killed the show. Yeah, I actually remember watching something about that. The way like I don't remember it, but I remember watching somebody talking about like where are they now and how the show ended. And I did notice they went in. That is why Cheryl quit. Okay, cool. Shout out to, today she's Juju. Don't do any Juju on us, okay? That's why the mom wasn't in the final season. She said she wouldn't be a part of them destroying the great image he had. Okay. Juju says she likes Serena and Venus. Yeah, they're cool, and I'm really happy for them. Shout out to Sir Tice in the building. He says, good afternoon, Antisocial. While I think movies are the biggest forms of propaganda, this movie was good. And it sounds like it was a good movie. I played tennis from 12 through to 18. Richard also moved out his girls to Florida away from Compton. And again, this is what we're saying. Like, men have foresight, and if you have two parents in the home, the ability to be more upwardly mobile is just greater. Okay. Yes, Compton is where they started, but it wasn't where they finished. And he understood that at some point I can't be with my girls all the time, and I need them to be in an environment that's just safer. And we were having a lot of discussions back and forth recently. We were on Mr. Uganda's panel trying to talk about why single motherhood for the millionth time is a problem. And yes, we know there are single mothers who are doing the damn thing, but obviously a lot are struggling. And there's just an increased risk of poverty, which means you're going to be in poorer areas. You're going to have less facilities available to you. It's just all round. I don't need to belabor the point, okay? But again, this man is not going to get credit for realizing that this area is dangerous. Let's get the kids out. And it's sad how they're basically trying to demonize him, okay? So Celine says, sometimes I've seen in the media that the mom knows everything and the father is put down. Shout out to George in the building. That particular group is so bitter. A black father could throw an ice cream party for kids and they'll accuse him of doing it because he thought they were lactose intolerant. Big Slob is laughing. I can't, Celine, because I'm at work. This is just a quick half an hour stream. But when I first came across this, I said I got to talk about this because it's sad. Never mind the fact that they got their discipline for their chosen sport from that man. It's bad all around for the feminists. It's L's upon L's, because we know, as Celine mentioned earlier, the notion and the narrative is men are stupid, men are useless, they don't have a clue. If it wasn't for women, if it wasn't for women helping them, guiding them, supporting them, they wouldn't be able to know they're behind from their elbow. I don't know why I'm choking. Help. But send water. But the thing about it is this is an attribute of men. My voice has come back. Men are not emotional like that. Not stable, healthy men. They are going to be more strategic. They're more likely to be more appropriate with their responses. They think long term, or more long term than women generally do. And so they're going to instill the discipline necessary to be successful later on in life in their children, male or female. Again, Venus and Serena are prime examples of this, that their discipline is, you can be very talented, but if you don't have the discipline, you're not going to be successful. And somebody could be mediocre, but if they're disciplined and consistently hardworking, they have more potential to be great. It's kind of like the hare and the tortoise effect, okay? So why does it seem like when children excel under the father's supervision, it gets overlooked? Even in discussions with regular people, it gets overlooked because of that culture. Shout out to Jug Season in the building. And again, it goes back to this whole, we have to always be worshipping the feminine. We always have to be extolling women. We always have to be giving praise to females. And this is why we say that the West is very gynocratic, because we want always women to be in positions of power, even if they're not necessarily qualified for the position. Okay. And this is something that we consistently see in the States, where the father was the one who was dribbling balls, or, shooting hoops, or paying for things, or coaching. And yet it's always the mother that the man, or the athletes are giving praise and recognition to, and buying houses and cars for. And it's really annoying. And so it's part of this black female worshipping culture. Shout out to Cynthia G for that expression. But no, we live, especially in Western black societies, are very much a society that's geared around worshipping the female, and everything she does has to be praised, and any negativity can't be criticized. So guys will remember years ago, the brother, he had two jerseys, and he picked the team and the university he wanted to go to. And right there in the press release, when he made the decision, she got up and walked away. And the son was like, oh, I'm used to my mother's shenanigans, because, she probably consistently acts the fool when she doesn't get her way. And although the father was probably the one helping him to succeed in basketball, a lot of the times the fathers just get cut out of the picture. And that's partly why this culture, or this mentality, persists, because a lot of the men, they don't mind playing the backseat role. They just want, they want their children to be happy, and they don't mind not getting the shine and the recognition. Ultimately, this unfortunately hurts them, because what happens is people think they don't exist when they were instrumental in the children who are successful becoming what they become. Okay. Slee says, I can't stand these white feminists. They talk about the white man, but I'm like, your father, who is a white man, loves you. And that's what you find with a lot of women who are feminists. They are sick. They need help. Sick, help, 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 help. Shout out to Nate. My son is very sick. He needs some help. I know it's hard to be a man these days, son. Okay. I know Synthetic G wish she had a baby daddy like Richard. CJ is a mess. I can't take him anywhere. She's doing the rounds. She's gone to Storm Monroe. They're about to do a one-on-one. It was supposed to be on Saturday, and for some reason it was cancelled till allegedly tomorrow. I don't follow Storm Monroe, but it did come up. Storm Monroe was actually created and built a lot by, and is mentored by Tasha K. He does a lot of the celebrity gossip. So for some reason he came across this situation with what Cynthia G is talking about, and he's going to interview her. So if you guys are interested, I don't know if I'm going to catch it, but yeah, she's making the rounds in different circles. Shout out to Red Pill Awareness in the building. That mom was so embarrassing. I think Mr. Uganda, remember, she disgraced him in front of the press, co-workers and everybody. And unfortunately, we now have a culture where this is seen as normal. Acting up, acting the fool, raising our voice, twerking on the tables. It's just like everybody is supposed to just tolerate it. And the thing about it is this, if you look at the incident that happened recently with the twerking on the table, the man was so unfazed. He just sat there minding his business, scrolling on the phone with this big old booty shaking very close to his face and his salad. And he was just like, yeah, this is just Tuesday. It's like, if I say something, I could wear this food. If I don't say something, at least I keep the peace, and hopefully she'll come down in a minute. But it's like we've become so desensitized sometimes to these shenanigans that people just don't even speak up anymore. So yeah, she definitely humiliated her son and made the situation about her. And it's funny, I'm pretty sure apart from men who called her out, a lot of women wouldn't say her behavior was bad. You see, the thing about this article or this particular tweet is, oh, how dare a man outshine a woman? How dare the father who was, instrumental in them becoming the success that they are get any kind of praise or recognition? But the mother who got up and walked away from her son, and it, embarrassed him globally, because anything that's on the internet or makes its way onto the internet is global at this point. Not one person really said, like, God damn, why are you trying to make this about you? Okay, so this was just completely ridiculous. Your voice sounds like it's about to catch a cold. No, for some reason, I don't know. I'm out in the cold, so I think it's just the cold. She might as well have just slapped his ass in front of the cameras. And it's possible that she had some kind of promise. And when he picked the different team, she realized her little backhand was maybe slipping away. We don't really know why she acted that way. Tasha K is on her way out of here. I see a lot of people talking about potentially something happening with her, and her insiders. I don't get why people would twerk in food areas, getting fart air around other people's chips and cola. It's not their fault. The beat just took over. If you didn't want us to twerk on the tables, you shouldn't have played that song. Okay, so so the article continues to read, like when he forces his daughter, in addition to Venus and Serena, Tunde, Aisha, and Lindrea, to rewatch a classic film right after it goes off because they can't come up with its lesson when he asks. Despite his then wife, Oracines' protest, he hits the play button again. There are many moments like this in King Richard when he is simultaneously presented as a man to be both feared and respected, even by Oracine, who is not his child, but someone who is supposed to be his equal. But anyone who's followed Richard's personal story since the 90s, when Serena and Venus first garnered national attention, knows that he is less admirable as a partner than much of the film portrays. That is why it is a relief when Oracine finally confronts him in their kitchen about how he consistently makes decisions about the girls on both their behalf, and how his desperation for their success has a lot to do with his lack of self-worth. I mean, I don't need to belabor that point. Okay. We understand that it's negative when parents try to live out their failures and try to rewrite history through their kids. Okay. We know that can be damaging because parents become very pushy, they become very controlling, and sometimes they don't let the children do what they personally want to do. It's more about them fulfilling their own dreams and aspirations than it is about the child fulfilling theirs, and that is a negative thing. But if Serena and Venus really wanted to play tennis, that's not what this is. He may feel inadequate. There may be an element of him trying to rewrite history, but at the same time, he pushed them and drove them in a way that made them great. And I'm pretty sure they wouldn't change their lifestyle, okay, and what they've accomplished to go and have a less pushy childhood if they could go back in time. Let's just be realistic. When you're sitting in the park twerking at Nando's. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Yeah, twerking is for the bedroom. Definitely. I always tell people I only twerk when I'm eating some really good food. Man, when the food is really good, I twerk before I start eating. I'm like, oh my gosh. you know, Twerking is for the streets and the bedroom, not the table, not table number 4 in Nando's. Yeah, but there was a mum who twerked at a graduation. I know we saw that. I don't think pomp and circumstance has a beat that you can dance to. It's true. And then they're going to say it's cultural. It's in our DNA. This is how we show appreciation and the excuses. I've seen someone start twerking in the middle of an argument. I've seen people twerking at a funeral. I was like, what point does this prove? No, I'm finna start crying right now. You guys are twerking at Nando's. I had me some good pepper soup and I went crazy. Whoever shakes ass wins the argument. Oh my God, what are you guys on? And when I make jerk chicken, I might do a little twerk in my kitchen. I mean, the jerk makes you jerk. That's what I'm saying. You become a jerk when you eat the jerk, and you got a jerk. You get me? That's why it's called jerk, girl. Nigerian pepper soup is good as hell. I always get 10 pour. Oh my goodness. You guys are crazy. Okay, so there could be some truth to that statement, but it still doesn't change the fact that the way this man parented, it instilled within them principles. And this is what I was trying to say recently, and we belabor this point all the time. The article says there was an incident where they watched a movie, and at the end he had a conversation with his children, and the children couldn't see the story, the moral or the message within the story. He didn't beat them, he didn't insult them, he didn't say you're worthless and you're stupid. He just played it again, and he was like, concentrate and look. And this is, we've all heard the story of the little boy who found the chick struggling to get out of the egg, and he thought, okay, this chick looks like he's struggling, let me open the shell so the chick can get out. Afterwards, he came back and he found the chick had died, and he went to his mother crying, I just saw this chick and I helped the chick out. And the mother explained, something happens to that chick when they fight to get out of that shell. That is natural selection. That is what is going to separate the wheat from the chaff. If you can't break through that shell, you certainly cannot survive as a bird in this world. And maybe there's a chemical reaction, but there's also probably going to be a mental reaction, because contrary to popular belief, even animals go through periods of drought. They go through periods where food is scarce. And so you have to be resilient if you're going to, weather those drought periods. We've all watched the documentaries where winters set in and we've got to hibernate for 600 million months. And it's the same thing with a child. If you don't give children the opportunity to develop resilience, develop the ability to self-motivate, to have a mentality where I'm looking for delayed gratification and I can wait and I can persist. These are all traits we have to develop, just like any other muscle. Even our brain is obviously like a muscle. The mentality of, I'm not just doing something for the purpose of getting a gain. I'm looking forward to the reward, like a reward center. I don't know, I can't remember what it's called. But when you are motivated by just knowing you did a good job, that's something that's not going to happen if you always get everything with little to no effort. And so when we see a lot of these children who are spoiled, they're spoiled because they lack, once again, it's discipline. So he didn't beat these girls because they missed the point. He didn't insult them or denigrate them because there was something there that they missed. All he did was make them watch the thing again, and they had a heightened sense of appreciation, but they had a heightened sense of attentiveness. We need to be attentive. We need to be looking around us for opportunities. There's a lot of lessons in there, okay? And again, where the mind goes, the body follows. These women had a certain mentality instilled within them, and that's what's helped them to be successful. Okay, so through Ellison Smith's shattering performance, we witness a woman compelling her man to look at her and what's really going on in their relationship for perhaps the first time. Most profoundly in this scene, Oracene mentions his son from another relationship who's been knocking on the door of their new Florida mansion asking for money. It's an acknowledgement thrown out in a fit of rage in the middle of a heated argument, but it is necessary if only for authenticity's sake. After all, in real life, Oracene and Richard have since divorced, and he went on to marry a woman 37 years his junior. So all of those age gap relationship individuals, if they were in the grave, they'd be turning to go younger as long as it's legal. Oh, God. Clearly, Oracene and Richard's relationship, let's move on, was far from the ideal image most prominently portrayed in the film. Still, this argument only results in Richard taking a deeper look inside himself to recognize the error of his ways, leading to a beautiful moment between him and Venus on the court. So then he talks about how he neglected his wife, and again, in fact, much of his actions moving forward result in repairing the tension within the family and not on becoming a better partner to his wife. So as I said, this is really what the kids coming home from school. So he had extramarital affairs. They didn't really talk about that much in the movie. And then it goes on to say, perhaps this disingenuity of King Richard is in part indicative of the pull so many women feel to stand by their man no matter what. So of course, Black women are going to feed into this because a lot of women like to talk about, we have this ride or die culture where even if the man is trash, we're always going to stick by him. And, we have to reiterate this again for the people in the back. No one is asking you to stick by a man who is clearly no good, especially if the clear signs are there from the beginning that the man was no good. You should be a ride or die. You're supposed to be a helpmeet to your husband. You're supposed to be a person who's creating an environment of peace, nurturing, supporting. These are the kind of things that a woman is supposed to bring to turn things like a house into a home. You're supposed to be the ride or die, but just be the ride or die for the right man who is committed to you. There's no point being a ride or die for a man who clearly isn't giving you back the same level of commitment. Okay, it shouldn't be hard, but we still gotta explain it. I did a video of someone twerking over a coffin on WhatsApp. I don't know if that was in Ghana. I think it was. And in some parts of the world, it is cultural. It's not really twerking. It's like a traditional style of dance, which looks a lot like twerking. So it's not necessarily the same. But obviously, with the Western influence, it can be perverted into something more sexual than it is. And we've had this debate already. To me, twerking is different from cultural dancing because the music and the lyrics and the connotation is different. When you are twerking, you're showing off your bedroom skill. When you're traditionally dancing in that style, it's culture. It's not sexual per se. Okay, people have lost their entire minds. No respect for the deceased. The twerk comes first. Jug Season says, not the coffin. Yes, trying to raise the dead with some unholy dancing. Twerking over the coffin, people have lost their mind. It's always some female white liberal projecting their guilt upon others. Always. They don't even realize how inherently racist. And I wouldn't even say that they don't know that they're being inherently racist. I think that this is why, and this is why I said stop letting white feminists in particular put batteries in your back as a black woman. And I know there are white people watching, there will be white people who come through after, but this is what we're saying. Feminism is primarily something that white women were fighting for. And even in situations where you have a good man, feminist-minded women of any race will always discredit men just because they're men. So, instead of promoting the focus of what's important, I always use this analogy from the scripture when the disciples of Jesus asked Jesus, is it right for us to pay taxes? Jesus said, listen, he come in like King Richard. He said, bring me a coin. Whose face do you see on this coin? They said Caesar. Okay, well, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give to God what belongs to God. Two things can be true at the same time, and we need to separate. Can we say that somebody who is a trash partner is a good father? Yes, because saying they're a good father or saying they're a good partner but not a good father, the two are mutually exclusive. And this is why we see a lot of women who have children trying to use the children even as a manipulation tool. It's like we're a package. If you're not going to be there for me, you can't see your child and things like this. Like the two are separate. Keep them separate. If you and the man or you and the woman can't work, at least let the person be there for their kids, because the kids become collateral damage. They've developed critical perspectives and literature to masquerade the racism behind it all. And to be honest with you, these women are basically used to bulk up the numbers. When you've got little bit of mincemeat and you need to buff it up with some baked beans. Shout out to CJ Carls. He asked me about these damn baked beans. And since then, I've started like buying tins from Lidl on the way to work to warm in the microwave. What have you done to me? I was not eating beans like this. Shout out to Conservative. He says, morning to you, afternoon to me. Multiple men had affairs. Okay. And critical race theory is goofy. Running around asking white kids now to be sorry for something that they didn't participate on and making them guilty. Apart from, every other reason why a lot of people have issues with critical race theory, I just feel like from what I've heard and seen so far, it's a smokescreen. It's a deflection from what black people really need, which is investment in schools, incentivizing male teachers, more funding for schools that are in, troubled areas, put some security in these schools. A male presence could have been there from before in the form of security, so that, children are getting a decent environment to learn, nutritious food and things like that. Running around telling little white kids you should feel guilty because you're white is goofy and it's useless. So, critical race theory is rubbish. And it's just a distraction. If I ever bumped into a married couple 10 years, a couple married more than 10 years and no cheating, I'll be shocked. Yeah, that's true. I can understand that. But not everybody cheats. And in the black community, I think cheating is almost equal. Women cheat more when they're young, men cheat more when they're older. I don't know what to say about that. Twerking is only cultural if you're actively communicating with the ancient spirits. A lot of black women on social media hang on to the words of white women like the gospel, but will tear them down when that woman is dating black men. Amanda Seales did it first, but everyone ignored it. Exactly. There's so many double standards with women who are feminist minded because there's no consistency or logic in their thought process. Okay. It's just whatever we can use for victimhood that day, that's what we're rolling with. So, so it basically playing into this notion that poor black women, they're oppressed, they're always sticking by their men, no matter how badly they treat them, even though I'm sure she was getting a lot of money and support, the wife that is, obviously fame and fortune. By the time they divorced, I'm sure they were sitting on a pretty penny and things like this. So, it says she first appeared nursing Richard's wounds when the bullies in the park beat him up. She's trying and failing to insert her voice as a deciding factor in their household. So again, it's that whole oppressed black woman narrative. And okay, he was possibly abusive, or he was negligent, he wasn't a good husband or whatever. But again, this is the man she chose. And this is the other side of the story that I always try to push, not because I'm not sympathetic, but because women have to understand you are free to pick the men you want. And if this man is not treating you right, you're free to move on. Okay. But again, victimhood is the bread and butter of feminism. Feminism can't exist if women are not somehow being victimized. And when there is no oppressor, when there is no threat, we've got to make one up. Okay. That's just how it goes. Okay. Still, Richard's layers are better unpacked than Oracines' very real concerns, which are largely left unchallenged in that very pivotal argument in the kitchen. While it's remarkable to see a black male character given such nuance, it makes you wonder, if the genders were reversed and these were Oracines' infractions, would she be given the same treatment? And the answer is yes, okay, because there would be a huge number of excuses made for why she was cheating and behaving the way she does. And on top of it, somehow it would be his fault that she acted this way. So I'm going to link the article so you can read it without the choking and the coughing. And oh, African Caribbean said it was in Jamaica, and I think I've seen things like that in Africa. And yeah, twerking is the only culture if you're in touch with the ancestors. You guys are hilarious. Critical race foolishness. Red Pill Awareness says white feminists are delusional. Shout out to D Block X. Thanks for thank you for your feedback. Shout out to you. We haven't seen you in the building. If you are new, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. So yeah, when I came across this tweet, I was really annoyed. You know, shout out to Mr. Research. You know, he always talks about how when feminism was really picking up steam all those years ago, white women, even some of the women who were fighting for the abolition of slavery, had a real issue with black men getting the vote before they did, which makes you think, how much do you really care about the freedom of black people? And we see this consistent use of the black culture, black fishing. You know, I put on Twitter, you know, Danny Lee is basically Iggy Azalea Mark II, where, you know, you have this woman who is light, bright, and white, you know, racially ambiguous, exotical, utilizing a wealthy black man, having a baby for him when the situation is clearly not conducive for healthiness and happiness, only to take her ish to social media to then lambast the guy, knowing full well that she will get a ton of black female support. You know, that's what these black men are like. That's how they do us. Da, 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 da. And, you know, she's fueling the argument of people like Cynthia G, who say, don't worry about these black men, you know, jumping ship because these white women are getting the same black men we get. No, that non-black woman is moving the same way a lot of black women move. A lot of black women, they're like infatuation first, then baby, then let's try force this into a relationship, and hopefully if I nag you enough, we'll get married. And that's what a lot of women, unfortunately, in this modern era are doing. They're moving backwards. So if you're backwards and Asian, backwards and Jewish, backwards and white, backwards and black, guess what? You're going to play these stupid games. You're going to get the same stupid prize. So I really appreciate everybody who came through. Jug Seasons, D Block X, you know, Red Pill Awareness, Juju, African Caribbean Diaspora Talks, Mr. Uganda, shout out to Kazama Furia in the building. Again, channel by the same name, please check him out. Hoodservative Culture and Politics Review, again, channel by the same name. Subscribe to these guys. Juju Bean, who else? Who else did I see in the house? I know I saw CJ Kyle, Sir Tice. Really appreciate everybody who came through. George Golden, as always, supporting the channel. Celine, Red Pill Awareness. You guys have been awesome. I really appreciate everyone. If you are not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. Share the video with somebody who needs to see it. Give it a big thumbs up, hopefully, or a thumbs down if you disagree. And obviously, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I see Carl, better late than never, and Great Britain. Azra Excel, shout out to all of you guys. Let's get through these last comments. Sitting in, shout out to Great Britain. He's sitting in, he's listening in. I think you're very well spoken, and you should do a live to debunk the false narrative that the cause of Black women leading death is domestic violence. Oh, that would require reading. Oh, I can look into it, but we'll see what we can do. Yay, you finally caught a live. I'm naughty. I always go live at a time, but that's not really conducive for American, as I know it's like 11 a.m., which most people are at work. And but you guys can catch it on the replay. It's fine. When it's far from the truth and it's actually health reasons. And one of the reasons, you know, why a lot of Black women are dying is because of multiple abortions. Shout out to Kendra D. I didn't really know this. I did suspect that having too many abortions could make you infertile, but I didn't know the number. But there are increased risks when you've had multiple abortions, which can lead to complications with pregnancy and birth. And I actually know somebody who has had multiple abortions, and their last pregnancy did come with a lot of complications. So I'm not saying that that was the reason, but I can attest that I do believe there's some truth there. And that's something that Black women are not going to talk about, because obviously they consider abortion as, you know, a right. It's something, again, that feminists have put in the back of a battery in the back of Black women to do. And now they're calling it healthcare. Okay. Shout out to you, Red Pill Awareness. He says, you're brilliant. I love your videos. There's a depth to your analysis. You don't care not to be politically correct. I've been rejected by bigger and badder, so this is okay. Political correctness hasn't got us anywhere. It's time to revolt. No, I'm joking. Even 21 Savage used the Black American culture to gain notoriety. He's English, and his mom fled with him from his doctor dad in America and played the I had no daddy angle. Oh, you see? I appreciate you for making this video. A lot of people don't listen. Shout out to Jug Season. It says, nah, I like these live streams around this time. They help work go by quicker for me. That's great. I really appreciate everybody. Juju says it's not true. I think that's talking about the leading cause of death. But again, this is part of the Black men ain't ish narrative. Okay, it's a package. It causes health problems. Great Britain says it destroys the fallopian tubes. Okay, even carrying to full term increases complications, definitely. And abortion is not contraception. You guys have been brilliant. Please remember, hit one of the hands, support me on Instagram. Shout out to Kim from Wifey for Lifey. She was the one who pressured me to start making an Instagram. So all of you guys who do follow me over there, I really appreciate you. Shout out to the Twitter gang. There's a few people over there who are coming through. So please hit me up on Twitter. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Big Nate Dog in the building. Little Big Nate, again, channeled by the same by the same name. So please go over there. Make sure you're showing that brother some love. He's going in on these democrats, this liberal agenda that's basically destroying women. And his tone is harsh, but you can't fault the brother because he's 100% correct. Okay, so YouTube is giving him a real hard time, constantly shadow banning him, constantly giving him strikes, trying to prevent this message from getting out. So please show him some love by hitting the subscribe button. Make sure you set your notifications to all for everybody. CJ Carl's the High Value Nurse. Make sure you're going over there, especially if you're a brother trying to get into something that's not rapping or throwing a ball. Okay, nursing is a great profession with a lot of benefits. So once again, you guys have been awesome. I really appreciate every one of you that was able to come out. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.